Hello friends, this is Basubamik. Today I have brought a video on the impact of Renaissance in Europe. So friends, let me start with the introduction. Renaissance means rebirth. It was a rebirth of knowledge. It is used to describe the phase of European history and Reformation in religion, science and thinking, humanism in education altogether. That is Renaissance. Generally speaking, the Renaissance spanned from 14th to 16th centuries, spreading across the Europe from its birthplace Italy. So friends, now some questions may come in your mind. What does the Renaissance? What was the Renaissance and why did it begin? So friends, let's go to the first question. What does the Renaissance mean? The term Renaissance is derived from French word meaning rebirth. As I told before, it is used to describe the phase of European history because many changes experienced in that period. And the second question, what was the Renaissance? The Renaissance was a time of great social cultural change in Europe. It was a period characterized by innovation, imagination, and creativity. The Renaissance was also a time of during which Europe's classical past was revisited and reinvigorated. Third question, where did the Renaissance begin? The European Renaissance began in northern Italy in the 14th century. The Tuscan city of Florence is considered the birthplace of the Renaissance. Friends, now let's go to the definition. Rebirth or revival. It was a revival of knowledge. It was revival of European art and literature. It was revival of ancient learning. Now friends, let's come to the point being logical. I think being logical also a definition of Renaissance because when they started finding logic in everywhere which helped in eradicating superstitions and some blind beliefs. So friends, now let's come to the point I believe in human potential. I also believe it is a definition of Renaissance because when they realized that the human beings have unlimited potential and they could learn and achieve anything if they dedicated themselves to it. Hence, we can say the modern face Renaissance man is someone who is skilled in many fields. So friends, let's come to the characteristics. The first point, interest in the classical thought of Greeks and Romance. The influences of Italian scholar Petrarch who revitalized interest in the classical thoughts of Greeks and Romance. This revival of classical thought was a rejection of the barbarism and the corruptions of centuries since the times of the Greeks and Romans. So now let's come to the second point, the embracing of humanism. The embracing of humanism made sweeping changes whereas the medieval scholars had been concerned with the harnessing of reason in the service and defense of religion. The Renaissance scholars, poets, philosophers concerned himself with the real world, the world of nature and man. As consequence, university became more secular, producing now educated laymen. Heretofore, only those of religious orders had been scholars. Renaissance art to become more natural and realistic. So now let's come to the third point, the commercial revolution. The commercial revolution began as a feudalism died and different areas of the European countries developed important urban commercial centers. Regional self-sufficiency also began as areas concentrated on what they best produced, such as raw materials, grain and other foods, or creation of needed tools, etc. By the middle of the period, small-scale trading evolved into commercial capitalism and revolution had certainly begun as trading was conducted overseas. So now let's come to the main point, the impact of Renaissance in Europe. We can see the impact in various ways like art, literature, philosophy, science, etc. Renaissance brought some changes into art. Unlike the artistic styles of earlier Middle Age, which placed more importance on symbolism than reality, Renaissance art was more lifelike and contains perspective. So let me show you an example of the differences between before Renaissance art and the Renaissance art. Here you can see Renaissance art was more lifelike and three-dimensional. Renaissance art gave importance to human and his rationality while medieval art was allegorical and linked to the divine world. So now let's come to the point literature. The effect of Renaissance on English literature were an increased emphasis on humanism and individuality, as well as an increased willingness of writers to satirize existing institutions such as the church and state and to write secular rather than religious works. However, printing machine was the main cause of European Renaissance because after the invention, knowledge became more easily accessible as it was stored in books. Revolution in European communication drastically improved the advancements of the sciences. People began to record their findings and publish them for the future generation benefit. Friends, this is the man Johannes Gutenberg who brought revolutionary change by the invention of printing press. So now let's come to the point philosophy. Philosophical trends also changed during the Renaissance. New age of thinking sparked by philosophy known as humanism. And humanism was presented by this man known as Francisco Petrarca, considered as the father of humanism. He brought revolutionary change by the term new ways of thinking. Now let's come to the point science. Renaissance also brought scientific change in mathematics, physics, astronomy, biology, and chemistry. Friends, these are the inventions that were made in that period: clock, anatomy, printing machine, etc. Thank you friends, I hope you like the video. Make sure you subscribe the channel and like the video. Thank you.